fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head Left Tune in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Craig Fissinger. Sitting in for the vacationing Ken Francis is Brandon Coverman. And of course, back in our sound room, it's TK and Heavy D back together again out in Studio R. Your sidekick, Daniel Kearns. Looking forward to talking to him here in just a few minutes. And another fun night on FRL, Kobe. I know you've been in the studio, the big studio before, but welcome back.
Oh, thanks. I'm glad to be back for this eighth season, and I'm happy to be filling in for Ken tonight.
Listen, we're going to talk a lot of sports tonight, talk about a sport we didn't talk about last week, and that's golf. I know we got the Shelby County Athletic League Championships teeing off a little bit later here this morning. And then we're going to talk some football again tonight like we did last week, but we're going to talk about that upset that you predicted over there that didn't happen between Anna and New Bremen. Yeah,
last week I picked the New Bremen Cardinals. They started out strong, 2-0. They won against Ben Logan and Miss Stonewall, respectively. They played Anna, a new team this year. Lost a lot of seniors from last year. I thought the Cardinals might get a win, might be a little bit of an upset. It didn't go my way. The Rockets ended up winning 42-7, and we're going to have their quarterback, Bart Bixler, on the show tonight.
Yeah, he's just a junior over there, but playing very well, and looking forward to talking to him. Kind of a guy that played the backup role last year, got in a few games there when their starter, Travis Meyer, went down with an ACL injury, but playing very well so far.
Yeah, playing very well for this 2-1 Rockets team who's beaten Brookville and New Bremen so far. They've surprised me a bit in the MAC. They'll get some tough tests. They play a very good St. Henry team this week, so we'll really see what the Rockets are made about here. I think they played very well against New Bremen, and if they keep it up, I think they'll surprise me and along with a bunch of other people, too.
All right, we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes, but let's get things going. And we got our coffee here, of course. I know I got my coffee. Now, you're not much of a coffee drinker, are you?
Not much. I'm not much of a coffee drinker like a lot of my generation. I'll just stick with a good old Mountain Dew or milk in the morning.
Yeah, well, I like my coffee. I like my Mountain Dew as well, but here in the mornings on Fish Report Live, I like to have a little coffee going, and I know Ken does too. Speaking of coffee, if you want coffee mugs like the Fish Report Live guys here, these are courtesy of Mark Travis. Mark Travis is the sponsor of these mugs, and you can find these same mugs on his website, madeformoreapparel.com. You can get mugs, T-shirts, all kinds of things, I believe.
You can get all kinds of things. I got this mug right here, and I also got a T-shirt. I love the Made for More apparel thing. It's a local philanthropy, so this money stays right in the area if you spend it on this amazing stuff that he makes for us.
All right, well, let's get things started talking a little golf. They're teeing off a little bit later here this morning in the Shelby County Athletic League Championships. And golf is one of those sports you know as well as I do because you played last year, just last year. This time you're in this position, but you know it starts almost a month before school starts. You're already in your league championships right now. Not a sport that gets a lot of fans out there on the course, but it's still a lot of good athletes out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of good athletes, and you see a lot of people that play golf or on the basketball court too. But you also see some different kinds of good athletes out there, and it'll be interesting to see how it is this morning. Last year when I played at the Shelby County League Championships, it was wet, miserable, raining all day. But it should be good weather this morning for all the opponents out there at the Shelby Oaks Golf Course there in Sydney. So it will play out, and we'll see who the player of the year is and who rounds out the first, second team and gets on the honorable mention this morning.
Well, give us a little insight here for those of us that haven't followed the sport this season in the Shelby County Athletic League. Who are some of your favorites individually today, and then also maybe some teams that are looking to maybe take the county championship?
Anna and Fort Laramie are the front runners here to take home the title. I'm gonna say it's gonna be the Anna Rockets. Now, what happens to determine league is that everyone plays each other once, and then at the Shelby County League Invite is everyone's second match against each other in terms of league, and then that's your 12 league games right there. And over the course of you playing during all the county teams during the season, you see how many over par a player is, and then you drop their lowest score. and then that determines who is player of the year. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nick Fischio will be the player of the year from Botkins. He was the player of the year last year. He is in contention. He should definitely be a district qualifier, if not possibly a state qualifier. Very solid. He's been playing a lot of golf, been playing a lot of good golf, being in the 30s consistently. Another player I'm going to highlight is Zach Plyman from Fort Laramie. He's an early front runner to probably be the player of the year next year. Another person I can see is Cole Maurer from Anna. He should be an all-first teamer as well. So they should all lead their teams. They should be all top 3 tomorrow. Botkins, Fort Laramie, and Anna. I'm going to say Anna brings home the league title tomorrow, especially having the advantage being on the Shelby Oaks course. Even though Fort Laramie's home course is Arrowhead, they still play a lot at the Shelby Oaks, so it's not, I guess, that much of an advantage for Anna, but it's still Anna's home course, so it gives them the upper hand, and I think Anna will bring it home.
All right, and for you said it's Anna's home course. Fort Laramie's not their home course. Any other Shelby County schools that don't use that as their home course at Shelby Oaks?
Just Russia is the only other Shelby County Athletic League team that does not use the Shelby Oaks as their golf course. Houston in the past has talked about moving to Piqua over there, Echo Hills, but they stay at the Shelby Oaks. Russia obviously plays at Stillwater Valley Golf Course in Versailles, and Fort Laramie obviously at Arrowhead. Okay,
and they tee off a little bit later this morning then?
Yep, around 9 o'clock this morning, so the kids get out of school. Fun day. I always enjoyed getting out of school, play 18 holes of golf.
Nothing better than that. So that's going to be a little bit later than our show here, so you'll have to look for some tweets a little bit later today on the Fish Report Twitter page. We'll try to get those results out, and of course on Friday we'll have those final results or the full results there on the Fish Report website. All right, well, let's change gears a little bit and talk some football. Like I said, we talked about it last week. Some MAC football. Had a prediction there that you missed on a little bit. I want to bring Daniel Kearns in for this one out there in Studio R. And Kearns, good morning.
Morning. How are you guys doing?
It looks like you got now Kobe's not out there with you in Studio R, but it looks like you've got a sidekick.
Yeah, I brought in a new sidekick. He's a little bigger and fluffier than Kobe, but they're still just as cute as each other. So I'm just happy to not be so lonely out here.
I have a feeling we're not going to hear a whole lot from him, but we do want to talk to you and ask you about Kobe. I was just getting on him about his prediction that he missed on last week, that Anna New Bremen game. I believe you made the same prediction out there.
Yeah, I believe I did. I did pick the underdog, the Cardinals, just as well, and I was rooting for them, not a doubt in my mind. But the Cardinals definitely, the Rockets definitely made us eat our words, because they definitely had a dominating performance of 42-7. Bart Bixler and Sam Hulsman in the backfield had a tremendous Friday night.
Well, listen, we're going to talk about, they've got a tough contest coming up this Friday hosting St. Henry. We're going to talk about that a little bit later when we have Bart Bixler on the show. But a couple big matchups I want to talk about, and one of those is a couple of first-place teams that are 3-0 right now. Minster, which is number 1 in Division 7 right now, taking on Coldwater at 3-0 as well. Guys, this is a big-time matchup here. I want your thoughts on this game.
Coldwater has obviously they're tremendous in the past, and right now they have a young talent. Coach Ottawa always has a great squad over there, and they'll definitely, I believe it's at Coldwater this year, so Minster's going to have to take their young talent over there. They're first in Division 7, but they're young, so going there, it's always a tough road test in Coldwater, and I just see Coldwater pulling out a pretty easy victory over these guys. No disrespect on Minster, but just Coldwater with the performances they put out every night, I see Coldwater running away with it with a pretty big win.
Yeah, Coldwater number 1 in Division 6, Minster number 1 in D7. Should be a good thing, a good game. Minster still sticking to a lot of what they did last year. 3 yards in a cloud of dust, kind of just using their beef to their advantage. I'm going to take the Wildcats on the road here in a close game here. I'm going to go with a 21-14 Minster win. I think it'll be low scoring. I think there'll be long drives. I think the key is whoever wears down which other team's defense first will have the upper hand here. I see it very low scoring. I see a lot of hard-nosed, pure MAC football in this game.
I know that, like you said, both those teams number 1 in their division, so a lot to play for there, as well as, two good coaches there, guys, on both the Coldwater and the Minster sides. And then Coldwater, a little extra motivation. I know a lot of people have seen on Twitter here the past week or so with the hashtag Shane Strong, so I know a lot of extra motivation over them there as well as all the MAC supporting that cause right there. But going to be a lot of fun. That would be a fun one to be at. I imagine the 50-50 pot will probably be pretty substantial as well. So.
Yeah, and all of us here at Fish Report, you've seen a lot of the hashtags Shane Strong, the Fish Report team's with you, Shane. We hope you get better here soon.
All right, guys. Well, let's talk about one other game, and that is New Bremen at Fort Recovery. Talked about New Bremen last week. I know you guys are kind of high on them. Fort Recovery playing very well, too. Both those teams at 2-1 right now. Let's talk about that game a little bit. What's your thoughts on that contest?
Go ahead, Covey.
I'm gonna take the Indians here and call them the Windians here. I think they'll go to 3-1 here in week 4. I know I was a little high on New Bremen last week. Sometimes when you're 2-0, New Bremen week 2 didn't played a Mississinawa team that's a little down this year, so maybe it kind of threw them off for what Anna was going to bring. But I don't see New Bremen winning here. And I picked Fort Recovery to lose by a wide margin to Minster, and they made it a closer game than I thought. So credit to Fort Recovery too. I really underestimated the Indians. I think the Indians are going to take home a victory here by a solid score of 28-7 this week. I just think that Fort Recovery is adjusting better than I thought to losing Will Homan. Just Fort Recovery's got that winning tradition now, and I don't think they're stopping.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that prediction. The Indians are definitely taking the recovery from their big loss, like you said, Will Homan of last year. They're taking it a lot better. I mean, they're 0-1 in the MAC still, but it was a tough loss last week, 28-21 against the Mr. Wildcats, or D1-7, like we said. And the Cardinals, they came off of a tough loss last year, so I would see a lot of fight out of the Cardinals, but I'd agree with the Windians winning on this one this Friday night.
All right, great stuff for that, Kearns, and thanks for that report there. Again, going to be a lot of fun MAC games coming up on this. We didn't talk about Marion Local and some of those other teams that are playing as well, but going to be a lot of fun watching those contests on Friday night. Well, listen, we got just a couple minutes before we go to break here, Kobe, and one sport I didn't plan to touch on tonight, but I want to a little bit is volleyball. And we saw a big matchup last night between Anna and Fort Laramie. And boy, this Shelby County Athletic League right now is very competitive in volleyball, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very wild between Anna, Fort Laramie, and Russia, and I'm surprised that Jackson Center is standing on the top here. They've been going into some deep sets with a couple of these top teams, but Jackson's always pulling it out, and you're seeing a wild run for second between Anna, Russia, and Laramie. And Russia's got a big matchup with Jackson next Tuesday, and if Jackson wins this game Tuesday against Russia, it should make sure that they should clinch at least a share. So it's a big game for the Raiders. The Raiders need to win this if they want at least a share of the SCAL title.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, a lot of interesting games, matchups going on there early. And I want to ask you something. I read a little bit earlier this week on Press Pro's website where Sonny Folks made a statement or a comment that he thought that the competition in volleyball right now was basically bigger than what it is in football as far as the interest right now or the competition, the level of competition. I wanted your thoughts on that. We're talking about some very good football teams in this area, and I know volleyball is very competitive, but your thoughts on that? I mean,
Sonny brings up a very valid point. You look at the volleyball rankings that came out. 4 of the top 6 schools are from this area with Russia, Jackson Center, Marion was up there, St. Henry, Fort Recovery, New Bremen. There's so many good teams, and you don't see the SCL in football, but they bring 4 very competitive teams: Anna in D3, Russia, Laramie, and Jackson in D4. They're all competitive, and 60% of the MAC is very competitive and up in the state polls. So he has a very good point in saying that it's more competitive. Even though MAC football is still the best small school conference in Ohio, he has a very good point. That's no disrespect to the football around this area, because we know the football in this area is deep. When you see Minster and Marion, bringing the MAC home 2 state titles, the CCC putting a couple schools in the playoffs. So he has a very valid point, but it's no disrespect to MAC football at all.
All right, well, we're going to have to get Sonny on this program sometime to explain some of what he writes there, and we've had him on this show before, and always a pleasure having him on. But listen, we're going to talk some more football, but we're going to take a short break, so hang in there. When we come back, we're going to talk to Anna star quarterback Bart Bixler.
skies run deep within this blue. False devised by foolish views. Religious divide among those may create civil war on my friendly land. Oh, 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 blood and bruised and slain. Oh, 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 right in this name.
Welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were talking a little MAC football. And our next guest is the star quarterback for the Anna Rockets. Last week in a big MAC win over New Bremen, he threw for 61 yards on 7 for 13 passing and rushed 10 times for a whopping 133 yards. Joining us on the program now is junior Bart Bixler. Bart, welcome to Fish Report Live.
It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, listen, congrats on a nice start to the season. You guys are sitting at 2-1 over there. More importantly, 1-0 in the MAC right now. You came into the season, Bart, as the starting quarterback after playing backup last year to Travis Meyer. You did, however, start a few games there when Travis was out with that ACL injury. You know, is your role behind center this season any more difficult, or is it easier this year than it was last year?
I would say that my role this year is definitely easier. Last year at that New Bremen game, it was crazy. I mean, I came in with very little preparation with the whole Travis Meyer situation. This year I feel much more confident behind the line and definitely more involved in our offense. Our coaches have geared our offense up this year to my strengths, and I do think that my experience from last year's couple of games has definitely helped me a lot throughout the season so far.
Well, listen, one big help for you this season has to be that offensive line there. I think you have 4 of your 5 starters back from a team that was ranked first in the MAC in yards per game. Tell us who's all on that line for Anna and what makes those guys so special.
Well, our line includes Braden Farley, Isaac Dodds, Dylan Steinke, Will Luthman, and Anthony Billing. Also, we have Jared Siegel, Justin Murray, and Cameron Stewart. They all play a huge role in our run game. We couldn't be as good of a team as we are without them. We have a great unit up front. Isaac Dodds being a third-year starter is always great to have. Our guys up front always come into practice and games with the mindset to work hard every day, and that's just something you really got to have.
Hi, Bart. This is Brandon Coverman. First things first, last week on this show I said New Bremen would come and upset your Rockets, and you proved me wrong, convincingly, 42-7. So we just talked about your offensive line, but your defense was spectacular as well. What motivates your defense?
I really don't mind you picking against us. We're okay with being the underdog. I want to start with Luke Cantrell. I mean, he's really the leader of our defense, and he is a great player at our middle linebacker. With all of our first-year starters on defense, in our minds, we definitely have something to prove this year. I think that our defense has improved every week since the first scrimmage immensely. And Will, Luthman, Brandon Shannon, and Jeffrey Richards, they've all scored defensively in our last 2 games. Our mindset is definitely to stop the big plays every game, and our motto is don't let first downs turn into touchdowns.
I have another question about that New Bremen game. You were efficient with the pass thrown for 61 yards, but you also showed off your dual threat ability running for 133 yards. How do you answer critics that say you might be too small to play the position of quarterback?
You know, I definitely think there's going to be people out there that question my height, and that's just part of the game, and it's part of sports. I've always been on the shorter side, and, I mean, that's okay. Once again, the coaches made some big changes to the Anna offense this year, and with Riley Huelskamp in the backfield, I mean, he's a phenomenal running back, and Nolan Emerson, Isaac Leininger, and Jeffrey Richards, they are all making great plays on the ball this year, and they're just improving. I think we have a great thing going for our offense, and I wouldn't mind being 6'3", but, you know, sometimes you just have to deal with what you have.
Let's talk about your opponent this Friday, the St. Henry Redskins. The Redskins are playing very well so far, and they actually have Ball State commit Caden Niekamp on their team. And I assume you've seen some tape on them. Well, what makes St. Henry such a tough opponent Friday?
Yeah, they got a couple studs. That Niekamp, he's a tank up there, but they're big, they're physical. They haven't really given up anything on the defensive side, as you've seen by the scores, and they've broken some records offensively as well, as you can tell also by the scores. And for St. Henry, that's definitely saying something, especially with their past. I got a chance to look at a few of them over at the Shane Strong event, and that does remind me, I'd like to give a huge shout-out to Shane Holman from Coldwater. Keep fighting, buddy. Everyone's really praying for you, and we hope you get back out there. But anyway, to compete with this tough St. Henry team, we definitely need to execute, and taking care of the ball, that's another big thing.
Hey, Bart, it's Craig again, and I know you're just a junior, so you have a lot of high school left in front of you here, but not only are you a good football player, you're also very good on the basketball court. I've seen you on the track. You're a very good track athlete as well. Do you have any maybe aspirations of playing in college someday, some kind of college sports?
I really love playing all three sports. Definitely have a passion for all three. College has definitely been in the back of my mind, and I always think about it. It's definitely a top priority for me. Yes, I do think that it would be a great opportunity for me to continue my athletic career in college. I just think that it would be something that I could carry on with me through the rest of my life, and I think it would be a great deal of fun.
All right, listen, one more question, and I know one sport you don't participate in high school over there at Anna right now is cross country. And listen, it wasn't too long ago that we saw you on the junior high course. I know you've been over here to Russia a number of times for the Running Raider 5K. As a matter of fact, we got a picture right now. I want to bring it up on our monitor. And listen, this is a picture of you from it wasn't that long ago, but I asked my wife the other day, I said, how old is he in this picture? And she goes, boy, he's about 7 or 8 in that picture. But you're awfully young in there. And I got to ask you, I know Coach Stewart's got a heck of a program over there on the cross-country team. Tell me the truth, Bart. Has Coach Stewart ever tried to lure you away from Coach Marino over there and get you on his team?
Well, Mr. Stewart he's always has a great program, and he is a great coach. He's played a huge role in my track career through the years, But he's definitely been in my ear a little bit from time to time. But on a real note, my coaches, Coach Marino, Coach Barhorse, and Coach Stewart, they support me in all three of my sports, and I wouldn't want any other coach for my high school teams.
Well, listen, Bart, that's great stuff. We'll let you go here. We want to wish you good luck this Friday. Good luck the rest of the season. We won't pick against the Anna Rockets again, and thanks for joining us tonight on the show.
All right, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, and that was Anna starting quarterback Bart Bixler, and you've seen him on the basketball court and in the track. The kid can do it all, can he?
The kid can fly around the basketball court. I'm be very excited to see what the Anna Rockets can do. They'll certainly be a favorite on the SAL for in terms of basketball this year. With Bart and Riley Huelskamp only being juniors, we'll get 2 more years. So Rockets fans got a lot of speed and athleticism to look forward to on the basketball court, the football field, and the track and field with Bart.
Yeah, a lot of talent over there. All right, well, let's go back to the sound room, check in with TK and Heavy D, 2 guys that we love talking to every week. Of course, TK back this week, took the first week of the season off. That's okay. We had Ross sitting in there for him, did a fine job. But guys, good morning.
Morning. How's it going?
Morning.
Well, listen, we got a couple new segments this year that Heavy D got started in last week, and that was his Ask Heavy D segment. TK, one segment you've got this season is the your SCAL Star of the Week. So we'll get started with you. And last week, Ross went with the home team here, the Russia Raiders, and named Jenica Donyer from the volleyball program his Star of the Week. How about you? Who you like this week?
I'm going to stick with the Anna theme and kind of bend the rules a little bit. It's not quite SCAL, but it's a Shelby County school. So the Anna Rockets girls soccer team, been a very good team for quite a long time, and they're just as good this year. And in the last 2 games, Taylor Kaufman, the junior over there, has scored 9 goals, a hat trick.
Wow.
Basically a hat trick, and then 6 more against Greenville. Arguably Greenville's not that good, but still 9 goals in 2 games. Heck of an effort there, and a really good player. Talking to Anna Rocket soccer and rivalries, they play conference foe Lehman next Tuesday. So if you want to see a big match, 2 teams going at it right there. If you remember last year, Lehman knocked the Rockets out in the district final meet. So I'm sure there's a lot of angst on the Rocket side. They want to get a victory and set the stage for the rest of the season.
Good call on that. You're exactly right. Those Anarocket Soccer Chicks, I think, is their Twitter handle there, but very good. And yeah, you're right. I think they went into the postseason undefeated last year.
Yes, they did.
Big upset there from Lehman. That's we'll have to keep our eye on that Lehman game and see how that goes. Good stuff there, TK and Heavy D. I know your mailbox was just stuffed last week with questions. You got to a good one. What's it looking like this week?
Again, another full mailbox. So thanks everybody for that. Sifting through the questions, it was kind of tough. I did get one from the Palmetto State down in South Carolina. They asked, why do hurricanes always swirl counterclockwise? I'm going to let the viewers go out and check out the Coriolis effect if you're interested in that kind of stuff. But you're better to be in South Carolina than North Carolina or Virginia because of the tidal surge, and it's all due to the Coriolis effect. So have fun with that. But the question I want to dig deep into is from Don Mack. Don's a faithful follower of Fish Report, and he asked about what's my favorite comedy movie, or what movie could I watch over and over again and still laugh every time. So I've got a couple. Some that are kind of on the top of my list are I, Tonya, the Tonya Harding story is a good one. And another one I really think is funny is one of the Hallmark Christmas specials, Mistletoe Over Manhattan. Always funny, knee slappers. But I kind of settled in on Will Ferrell. He's got a ton of great movies. Talladega Nights, The Anchorman, Land of the Lost. But my favorite movie, probably all time, I could jump right into it at any part of the show, is Step Brothers, Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly. Filmed back in 2008, grossed about $128 million at the box office. So if you got 98 minutes to kill, it is rated R, so watch it with the family. Don't watch it with the family. So as my daughter came into the room, she's about 13 years old, came into the room a couple of months ago, I was watching it, and I quickly turned the channel. She goes, "Don't worry, Dad, I've already seen it 3 times." So I think I'm maybe not the best parent out there. But anyhow, Step Brothers with Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, one I could sit down and watch at any time.
Great stuff there, Heavy D, and we always enjoy hearing from you. You got good stuff there. Good questions from our listeners, too.
Yeah, very good inquiries. I like this new segment. I knew it pay its dividends sooner or later.
I learned something about hurricanes tonight, Kobe.
I learned something about it, too. I wasn't too much of a science geek in high school. I'm more of a history buff.
All right, great stuff there, Heavy D and TK as well. Always enjoy checking in with the sound room and look forward to doing that again next week. Well, listen, thanks, Kobe, for sitting in for Ken tonight. I know you like to get back out there to Studio R with your sidekick there, Kearns, but hope you enjoy being in the big studio tonight.
Yeah, it's fun to get a little promotion up to the big leagues tonight, but I'll sit back to reality next week with Daniel out there instead of the Bear.
All right, well, listen, that's going to wrap it up for us this week. We do want to say special thanks to our guest and a quarterback, Bart Bixler, for joining us on the program. For Kobe, myself, and the rest of the Fish Report crew, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back again next week, and have a great rest of the day.
Hanging at the Fish Report. 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 For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the Fish Report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull when you tune in to the Fish Report. Hanging at the Fish Report. Hanging at